Let's get started. So I posted lab 3. So first let's quickly go over lab 3. And lab 2 was due like yesterday, I believe. If you have not submit, put it to it. And lab 3, I would like you to submit something like this. So you're going to create 2 packages, one just for practice, and the other one is a real one. Okay, the real one is what you're going to use throughout the semester. So the reason that I asked for 2 is because you might follow that in class, you might create one and you never create another one. So I want you to redo all the steps to create one. Okay, you can create another practice one, whatever, but at least I want to see 2. So make sure that you can create a Python package independently, okay, without having to follow me in class. And as I showed you last time, right, you can create one within 4 minutes, okay, 3 minutes 40 seconds, okay. You can do the same thing. So what I'm asking for are 3 things. Okay, you need to have hosted on GitHub and also publish on PyPI. And so today I'm going to fix this one, how to create the documentation, make sure the documentation is up and running, and then we can start adding new stuff. And also today we're going to cover how you can use GitHub to automatically release a new version so that you no longer need to upload manually. So if you remember last time, right, how did we upload something to PyPI? What command did we use? How do we upload packages to PyPI? No one? Cookie cutter is just for create. What else? Twine. Yeah. If you already forget, you should like try to create another one. That's the reason that I want you to do again, because if you forget only one time and then you never realize like, oh, what's the entire procedure. So use twine. And that's it. After today, forget about it. You don't need to use twine. Everything is automatic. So I'm going to show you step by step how you can set that up so that you don't have to manually upload packages. We have all the procedures in place, so you can release new packages whenever you want, and you just push to GitHub. GitHub takes care of everything else. Okay, and GitHub is going to show you. I'm going to show you how you can build the packages on multiple platforms, right? On Mac OS, on Linux, on Windows. Okay, so when you are developing packages, you don't have to physically have a multiple computers. You don't have to have a Windows, Mac OS. Okay, all you need is just one computer, one platform, and then it's going to help you build on multiple platforms. And if it detects any issues, you will know, and then you can fix that. So, okay, are we clear with all of this? So make sure that all the links should be working. If you click this one, it's not working yet, because last time at the end of last lecture I showed you like we need to do something, to fix this. But this one should be working. So what I'm looking for is your package on GitHub, and also your package on PyPI, and also the documentation through this thing. So you need to submit 6 links like this for lab 3. Okay, for these 2 parts we already did that last time, and so today we're going to fix this one. And also GitHub Actions. Questions? Again, practice. So you're welcome to have more, right? You can have 3, 4, 5, up to whatever number you want. And if you can see here, I think I have 25. Okay, so you can spend one day. Like within 1 hour, you can create 12 packages. Okay, if you want to. And so let's go to our package here. So I'm going to fix the first one. Make sure the documentation is up and running. So if I click my repo, you can use your own repo. Okay. So here, when you go to any repo, some of the repo, if they already activate so-called GitHub Actions, so you might see this type here, Actions. So GitHub Actions essentially is a so-called a continuous integration. What it means is that whenever you're making changes, you are creating a new version, you're doing something, there's some procedures in place to make sure that it works as expected, because you cannot expect that the user's computer are going to have the same configuration as yours. Every computer is very different. How do you make sure that your package is going to run smoothly on any platform, on any computers, on laptop, desktop, okay? And so this is where the GitHub Actions is super useful. If you click this one here, if you look at this one, right, you see the green marks, the green check marks. That's something you want when you are enabling the GitHub Actions. If there's a cross mark here, that means something is failing. It's not good. You have to fix that before pushing. It's just like whenever you, for example, Windows, like you receive a new update, ask you to update, and sometimes it breaks your computer. That's wrong, okay? Something like this. So you can make sure that it passes all the checks, and then you can release a new version. So this is where you're going to see very common, pretty much in all the major open source packages on GitHub. You're going to see some kind of this so-called continuous integration. For example, I can show you maybe, how about this, Gmap or leaf map, right? So if you click the repo, and if you go to the repo, you should see the green check mark, okay? So if you go to the GitHub Actions, you will see something, okay, this all looks good, all green. I suppose, right? Sometimes you will see it's failing, then you have to fix it. So you can always clean, for example, if I go in here, and then you can click, you can see which one is failing, right? Besides the operating systems, Linux, Mac, and Linux, Mac, and Windows, they also Python different version, right? 3.7, 3.8, 0.9, 0.10, 0.11. If you multiply them all together, think about if you have to test it manually, you will have to have 3 computers, and each computer you need to have 5 contact environment just to test it. Okay, it's going to be a nightmare, and that's not something we want. So we want some program to actually set up those environment and do everything for us, and it's all free. So GitHub provides those things that allows you to test, to create multiple ones. So if you click this one, and then in here it's going to show you, right, you can write a number of procedures just to test it, and if it fails, you will know, right? So if we installing, and then at some point it fails, and you just to look at the error and just to figure out like what's wrong, how do I fix that. So this is essentially simulating when a user, for example, using Python 3.11 and is on a Linux computer, they're trying to install a package, it fails, then you need to basically, you can envision what the issue would be, then you fix that. So you're going to use it throughout the semester. So it will happen at some point that your program will fail. Either you're adding a new package to it, or your source code has something wrong, then you have to deal with the problem. So first, let's go to this one here. I'm going to show you once again, right? So if you're seeing the check mark, right? I'm building the package against Linux 3.11, 3.8, 3.9. I'm also building it on Windows, right? On Mac OS. I don't have to have a Mac OS computer. You can still test it. And then once everything passed, I'm going to deploy this one to GitHub, to the documentation. So the website will be updated and it's going to be automated. So these are things that you can certainly can do. If you want, you can go to, for example, every commit. You will be able to see, right? Sometimes it fail, right? It might fail multiple times. It takes some time. This is so-called debugging. If something goes wrong, you have to debug until you fix the issue. So I would always love to see the green check mark, but sometimes it can take you hours just to get to that point. So you have to keep that in mind. So for next, let's go back to the repo here, and I'm going to show you how you can fix that, right? So last time when you create a package, just within a couple of minutes, and then we push to GitHub, we publish to PyPI, but the documentation website is not working yet. Okay, so if you go to the details, if you click this one, let me show you first, like where does that come from? I mean, how do you set up those procedures within a GitHub repo so that GitHub can check all the steps for you? So it's called GitHub Actions, and you should find the repo, the folder named .github. Okay, so this is maybe a hidden folder on your computer. On Windows, you might have to unhide it to see it. But if you open your repo on GitHub, you should see this one. So GitHub, and you should see a folder called workflows. Okay, so this is essentially all the instruction that the template provide that to you. And So it's going to build, right? You can change the name, so the file name doesn't matter. The most important one is the content, the command, the instructions within this file, telling GitHub to do this for you. So it's just telling a computer, basically telling a robot to execute things for you on your behalf. And so build the packages, basically it's going to build on multiple platforms. So you click, and this is essentially what this one's doing. So if you see here on push and the branches or the pull request and on which branches, and whenever this happens, so basically this is basically the conditions that will trigger these actions. So now you know, like the name on your case, it might be just main or the pull request, right? So you understand the pull request, basically you are sending somebody is creating a pull request trying to contribute. So think about the scenario. You have a package that is very popular and it's on GitHub. Anyone can contribute. Probably 99% of people are trying to really to contribute, but there can also be people trying to sabotage your stuff. They can like put some virus or whatever and trying to infect everyone. Okay, it happens before. So this will be useful because when somebody's trying to put something, for example, imagine like, okay, it's going to merge to your branch, to your master, and you need to make sure that before you accept this one, everything pass the check. If something is illegal in here, in there, or something is wrong, you don't accept it, and you need to double check. You need to review everything, and then you can pass. So this one can basically just like a gatekeeper can test all the stuff. Okay, so you're going to test whenever you push something directly to GitHub. It's also going to check when somebody creates a pull request, and I will show you later like, what does that mean when somebody creates a pull request. So next, this is the name, and this is where you're going to check, right? So you're going to run zone the matrix config OS. So it's going to come in from here, and this one basically is telling GitHub Actions to, okay, I want to test this one on Ubuntu Linux, okay, 3.7 all the way to 3.10. I also want to test it on Windows and Mac OS, right? Also 3.9, but you're welcome to have all of them. It's up to you. So you can also have Windows like 3.7, 0.8, 0.9, 0.11. It's up to you. But for me, the most important one, once I finish, I make sure that it works on Ubuntu 3.7, 8.10. Most likely it will work on other platforms. So for other platforms, I only test like just one Python version. And then this is basically all the steps. And later, when it's building, it will follow all the steps. So you're going to check out and then basically installing. You can think about this is like creating operating system and then install the packages, all the requirement dependencies, and then install your package and then test your package. And if everything passes, you're going to have a green check mark. If something fails, then you have to fix that. So here, these are more specifically what the instruction is doing. It's going to do, for example, pip install, and I showed you this one before, right? These are requirements. So it's going to install all your dependencies first, and then yeah, I think this is missing one step, so later we need to fix that. So we're going to add like pip install dot, basically pip install period. So we're going to install package. Right now it's not installing your package yet. I will show you later. So this is just one of those, and the next one is called py.yml. So this one is doing something similar. So whenever you create a new release, right? So the on is the action to trigger the build. So if you release a new version on GitHub, I'm going to deploy this one to PyPI. So you can see here, set it up and then install the package. And this is where we're going to do. So later I'm going to set a secret username and password. So last time I showed you like when you try upload, and then you need to enter your username and the password on your local computer. So this one essentially is doing the same thing. You don't need to enter anymore. It's going to retrieve the so-called environment variables from the GitHub, and then it's going to read your username and password, and then it's going to push. So basically authenticate. And that's why you don't need to manually try upload anymore. GitHub is going to take care of that for you. So all you need is just to put all the configuration in place, and then GitHub is just going to pull this stuff, pull the information, and then send the things to whatever you want. Okay, so this is where it can show you how to automate things. GitHub is the action is very useful. Anytime if you want something that you want to execute automatically or a specific time period, this will be very useful. For example, I can create a Twitter bot. Whenever someone saying something, I can check every 10 minutes and Twitter is going to post it for you. You want to, for example, you can also, like, whenever someone follow you, you want to follow back, you can write something GitHub Actions to check it for you, right? But GitHub Actions, you need to set up your username and password, basically your token, and then it's going to check every 10 minutes, every 5 minutes, every hour. And this is very, very useful, especially for some kind of warning system. If, for example, if something goes wrong, it checks every 5 minutes. And then if something goes wrong, you can send the notification to whoever responsible for fixing the issue. So there are all kind of user cases. But for this specific package, we're just going to push the stuff to PyPI. Okay, so that's the second one. Last one I want to show you, and this is the one that we're going to fix, is basically the documentation. So you see here, push. So whenever we push something to our repository, I'm going to build this one, all the stuff, and then lastly, I'm going to install so-called mkdocs. So the website that we are building here is so-called the mkdocs. I will show you more later, but this is essentially all the instructions here. Install all the packages, and then build it, and then deploy to the GitHub pages. Once it's deployed, then your website is up and running. Okay, so everything will be under the .github folder, and then under that will be a workflows folder. Okay, so don't put your stuff in here, it doesn't work. Okay, so it needs to be a subfolder in here, and there's also issue template. You don't have to worry about it right now, but the most important one is under the so-called workflows. I mean, there are tons of templates, so this needs to be sufficient most of the time for your package. And that's it. So next, let's fix the issue. Why the website is not working, right? So if you go to my main repository, if you click here, all other stuff, green check marks looks good, but this one is no. Okay, so if I click here and then just scroll down, and this is where you need to do the debugging. Why it is not working? So you go through here, everything works fine until you make some errors here, and I believe if you somewhere there. Okay, so for example, for this one here, line number 26. Okay, remote permission to this repo denied to GitHub Actions. So what does this mean? So you can think about, you are the owner of this repository and you have a robot there trying to do something for you, but you have not granted the admin right to the robot. So the robot, basically robot need to have access to your repo. Need to make some changes. So if the robot can only read the stuff, it cannot write, that means you don't have the permission. So that's why in the past, GitHub automatically grant the right access, read and write. But I think last year they changed the policy, so now it's by default it's read only. So just to avoid accidentally you are allowing the robot to do something back for repo. So you have to explicitly grant the robot access. So this is what you need to do. Go to settings, and then from here, if you go to, I believe under actions, and then general. So the actions you can think of is the robot, all the workflow that to execute things on your behalf. And then scroll down all the way to the end. You will see this one here, right? By default, the workflow permissions is read repository contents and packages permissions. Okay, it's not sufficient. You need to write, because you are building your website and then you are pushing the website content to a GitHub pages branch of your repo. So you need to make sure that you change this one and then click save. Then you should be good to go. So once it's changed, if I come back to here, it might still be fading here. You will notice still fading. So now you can go to details. Okay, and upper right corner here, you should see this one, rerun all jobs, or just rerun on failed one. Okay, you don't have to rerun on those already passed. So you can just click this one, rerun the failed jobs, and then just click the rerun. It should take a couple minutes, then your website should be up and running. So this is a relatively easy fix. some bugs might take a while. Okay, sometimes I have to spend a couple days just to make sure everything works properly. So if you want, I can click this one. Now you see it's trying to read this one. So the instruction is basically coming from this one here. Again, let me show you one more time. GitHub workflows, and then the documentation. So it's basically going to go through step by step, installing all the dependencies, and then going to deploy this one to GitHub. So you see, right? Installing the packages, and then it's going to build the website, and hopefully everything works as expected. So now you don't see it's not there yet. The error that we had last time was, I think, in the last step. So and boom, right? Completing, that means it's a good sign. Everything works as expected. So now you should see the green check mark on the left side. So if I come here again, actions, nice, and go to my home page, nice. This is what you want to see. Okay, after your package, after you put something to GitHub, you need to have these actions in place. I check that for you. And after that, now if you click the website, it might not be working yet. It's still not working. The reason for that is we need to set up the website. So if you go to the settings, on the left side, pages. Okay, so for now it's empty because we have not set it up. Although we already have the GitHub branches. So if you click here on your computer, on your repo, you should see master or main, and then GH pages. So GH pages, this name is special. Okay, if you, on your GitHub, if you remember last time we create a website, right? Your username .github.io. Okay, so that's your main, because every GitHub account has only have one repo with that name. So that's going to be, you can think about utk.edu. Okay, so that's your website, the website for on your tied to your account. But you can slash, right, geography/geology, whatever, right? You have a subdomain. So this one here is basically a subdomain. GitHub pages, whenever you have a repo, you can have as many repos as you want. So in that repo, if you create a branch called GH pages, then that repo becomes a subdomain of your main one. Okay, so that's why you can have as many websites as you want. Like I showed you earlier in the lab assignment, right? I can have one website like github.io, and then this, and then this, right? You can have you can have hundreds of websites if you want. But for this case, we're going to show you like how you fix that for this specific one. So if you go to, where is it? Let me come in here. So all you need to do is that, okay, I want to deploy this website using the GitHub pages branch. Okay, so all you need, just click this one and then click save. Then it should take only a couple minutes. It's going to build. And also you can use a custom domain. So this is where if you have a domain, you want to tie that one to the GitHub pages, this would be the nice way. Let's fix this one, the first one first. Okay, is it building? If you go to the GitHub Actions, it should be something you see here. Pages, build, and deployment. Yes?
I don't know if people have this or not. I don't have that GH pages.
Yeah. You don't have one? So did you, so let's go back to here. Do you have a plus sign like a cross mask?
No.
No? Oh, okay, let me, so if you go to the GitHub Actions and then come here, documentation. Do you see this one, main or master?
Yes.
Main or master?
That's master.
Master, that means if you click your, here, the name, is it main or master?
Main.
Main. So this is why if this main, that means your repo is not set up correctly. So when basically when you are creating, as I said last time, very careful, when you're creating a template, there's one option that is your branch main, master or main. If it is main, you need to select 2 or 1, but probably you missed that part. So now it could be an easy fix. You can do it directly here. So just click this edit the file, and then from here change the master to main. And once you make the changes, then you can, okay, lowercase, and then upper right here commit changes. Then it should be building. And pay attention, if you're doing that directly on here, make sure you are on your local computer, you pull the changes, okay? Otherwise, next time when you're trying to push, you're going to have conflict and then it won't allow you. So you need to synchronize this one to a local computer. Yes?
Mine says master in the top, like
This one here?
it says master in both places.
Oh, then you master both places? It should be only one, right?
Or, I mean, like it says master in the code text, but also up under like the code.
Let me take a look. Yeah, you need to do both, I think. So if there's pull request and also like push, then you need to change both of them. So essentially you need to change all of them to.
It says master here.
Oh, then you should be good.
It doesn't work.
Let me go back to your homepage. Still this one? Yeah, you already passed all. Yeah, this one.
And then when I
Settings and then pages. Oh, it's private. You cannot use a private. You need to make it public. Yeah, you see here? It's private. So you need to go to settings to make it public. Otherwise, so if there's a private repo, you cannot use GitHub Pages. So you need to change your repo, or you can create a new one. Yes?
Just a quick question. So should I go in and change master domain on all three?
Exactly. Yeah, you essentially need to do
Okay.
for all of them. Otherwise, it won't work. So this is the instruction. Basically, yeah, I hope that it's confusing because of the GitHub changed all the default one. Like I mentioned, because the Me Too movement. So sometimes it can cause issue on this tag. But to me, it's part of the history. So anyway, so change that one, and then it should review the website. So let me go back to here. And as I mentioned again, if you're using Visual Studio, make sure you use git pull to pull the latest changes you make in here to your local computer. Otherwise, your local computer copy is behind the GitHub repo. And when trying to push, it won't work, okay? So make sure that you do that, unless you create a new branch. We haven't talked about that yet. So to simplify it, you can, if you want to do that, just do it here on the web interface. And click OK. So again, come back to here, pages. And you should see this one, right? Your site is live. Can you see this one? So you need to make sure you change this to GitHub Pages. After you make change to main, it might take a couple minutes to review, but it should be working, and then you want to deploy. So you basically are telling GitHub that, okay, I'm going to create a website. The website comes from this branch. It's not from the main branch. Your main branch is not website. In order to be a website, under your account, it needs to be coming from a repo name, your username.github.io, or it should come from a repo with the GEOG-510 branch. Okay, these are the only two ways you can create a website and then deploy it on GitHub. Anyone see the link working? Yes.
So you click after you hit GH pages,
Mm-hmm.
then you hit save.
Save.
That's all one.
Yeah, and then it should be automatic. So you need to, if you want to make sure, go to Actions, and then you should see this one here, Pages, Build and Deployment. So there should be one under the documentation. And if you see this one, you're good. Okay, if you don't see that, if there's any error, then you have to look at the error and then to fix it. So now, if I come back to here, go to the settings and then pages, right? Now, if I click this one, it should work. Okay. Yes. Any issues? Just ask. Okay. Don't be shy. If you have issues, I can help you fixing here. And this is essentially like the step you need to enable, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. So let me come back to here. Let me see if there's anything else. And so as I mentioned earlier, custom domain. So this is where if you have a domain that you want to use, then you can do that. So for example, right now is this one, GitHub, GSWK, GitHub.io, and then the username. So let's say I apply for domain, and then it's GOSHaha.com. Then you can just replace this one, but you need to make change some settings on the whatever you purchase, the the domain. So let me show you like what it looks like, for example, for leafmap, right? So for my documentation website, I have a website called leafmap.org. It's not gswqs.github.io.leafmap. It will redirect. So if you want, I can test it, show you. But it will be my main website and then leafmap, right? So take a look. If I hit enter, it redirect to my real website because I have a custom domain that I tied to this repo. So what I did is actually from here, right? Settings. You can see basically the same thing, pages, and now it's under this one. So the reason for that, I'm still deporting from the same settings. The only thing difference is here, I own this domain, okay? And then wherever you post the domain, there will be some settings that when people visit the leafmap.org, it's going to redirect this one to your GitHub repo, your GitHub pages, but it remains your domain name. So if you want to do that, I think it's like $12 per year, something like that. So you can, if you want to have a more like custom domain, this is what you can do. I think you can buy from like GitHub, Google Domains, or GoDaddy. I think let me see, Go DADDY. Right, and then you can just search whatever domain you like. So here I can try to find GEOS, and I was going to show you, okay, only one cent. That's good. Like for the first year, maybe yours, and then you just buy. You can also own multiple if you want, right? Or geoha.org, right? It's not expensive, so I'm like usually, yeah, $1 like or 1 cent. And once you purchase this one, under the settings, then you can ask your domain to point to your GitHub page, and then it become yours. So if you want to like see instructions, I think it's under here, like forget here, learn more, and add about custom domain and pages. You see here, this is going to telling you like www subdomain. I think the most important one is under the managing the custom domain. Yeah, just read the instruction, unless you want to do that, but not everyone would like to spend time, but you can look at the instruction. You can just also do that online. It's pretty simple, only a couple steps. If you run into issues, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. I have like linked many websites with custom domains. Okay, so leafmap, gmap. Okay, so let me come back to here. Now I have this website up and running. Okay, go to the right and go back to this here. So the next step I would suggest is to put your link on the upper right corner here, your repo, so that when others visit your repo, they can go to the link directly. You can also put under README, but the best practice would be to copy this URL, and then upper right corner here, click the settings, upper right here, this button, and this is where your website. So you want to paste your URL here, and you can give a description to your repo. So for example, this is Python package demo for Geospatial, for example, whatever you want. And you can have a tag, for example, Geospatial. And the tags are useful if you want other people to find your repo. It's basically just like a hashtag on Twitter, on Facebook, right? It's all belongs to the same category. So make it easier for other people to find it. So mapping, okay, or Jupyter, whatever you want, okay, something like that. And on the left side here, you can also have releases, packages, and environments. Usually for Python packages, we don't need this one. So this package is actually for JavaScript. So if you see on the right here, the different sections, I'm not sure if you can see it. It's a little bit dark in here. But usually you can just uncheck that one because you are never going to use that for Python package. So have a description, website, topics, and then boom, save changes. Alright, so now on the right here, when people visit your repo, they can click the link and then they can go to the documentation website. They can read more about it. So GitHub is good for just doing the source code, but for tutorial and other stuff, it's better to be on here, right? So now you see, you haven't really built the website, right? Have you made any changes to the website? Not yet, it's automatic. So this is so-called mkdocs. It's the free Python packages that can help you build the website. And all the stuff, if you want to see, oh, where does this website come from? Like, how does GitHub knows, how does this website, where are the files of where is this website hosted? Or where are the files of the website? Anyone? Yeah, on the repo, where? Is there any HTML here? So what did we do earlier when we tried to set up the website? Right, it's deployed from which branch? GitHub Pages, right? Exactly, it's from here. So all the files actually are hosted in here. If you click this one, you will see like the files are different from your master or from your main branch, because this is actually where the website files come from. So if you go into, for example, here, you will have an index HTML, right? So this is actually where all the HTML files for your website, they are all being hosted in here. The reason that we didn't make changes, we didn't really build the website, because GitHub Actions take that care for us. We don't actually build it. It's going to build from Markdown, Jupyter Notebook, and you don't have to know HTML. Everything is just built from the Markdown. So we can add stuff into the Markdown. We can add code block. We can add bases. We can add video images. It's just Markdown. So nice thing is you don't have to know the JavaScript language in order to actually build a website. It's pretty simple. So now you see we have the menu. We have this. I will show you how to customize later. For now, I just going to quickly show you like where does that come from. So if I go to the repo, there's one file here called mkdocs.yml. So this is the file actually is dictating how the website should look like. What kind of menus. So if you see if you scroll down to the end, right? Look at this one. home.index.md, installation, usage, contribution, FAQ, blah, 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 right? Look at this one on the left side here. So it's pretty simple. If you want to add a new menu, you create a new Markdown file somewhere under the document, the docs page. So all the source code, all the files for your website is actually coming from the docs folder, and they're just Markdown. They're not HTML. So GitHub Actions take this Markdown and build them, convert them to HTML, and then generate a website. Okay, so again, you can use Markdown, right? It's just plain text. You can do whatever you want, and it's also going to build all the API documentation. So in that way, if your source code is well documented, documented, the website will build those for you. So now, this is basically you have a template, but if you want to see, for example, same thing like leaf map, right? Take a look. The structure are the same. So now you already know like how you build. But the nice thing about this, for example, API reference. Right? So if I build anything into the package, I write source code, it's going to automatically build it. So this is all automatic. I don't actually go to create those functions like documentations. It's all, if you scroll down, right, hundreds of functions. So for example, I wrote a function make GIF, right? So you can just provide me a list of images. I'm going to output you a GIF animation, and you can have parameters, you can have something like that, and these are all built automatically. So here, okay. So later this semester, you're going to have something like this. For now, your website have this one, but it's basically nothing because I haven't added any functions. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about in the following weeks, right? How you add functionality. For now, it's just laying the foundation, and then you can start building like living room, bedroom, any house on top of that. Okay, so we have the foundation ready to go. Now you can start thinking about, okay, what do I want to do for my package? What functionality do I want to do that? How do I design my package so that people make it easier for other people to use? Questions? So now, right, for lab 3, we are done, right? You should have the website, you should have that on PyPI, and you should also have that on GitHub Actions. That's it. So pretty much this is what you need to do for lab 3. Next, I'm going to show you how you create a new release, okay? Because after you make some changes, you add some functionality, you want to release a new version, right? So last time we used twice upload, but now GitHub Actions can take that care for us. Again, you need to make sure that if it is main or master, you need to fix that, otherwise it's not going to work. So what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to do it from Visual Studio Code, and then you can make changes, and then you can so-called bump version. So if you remember last time here, if you click the PyPI, right, the version number will be 0.0.1, okay? So we're going to bump this one to 0.02, okay? So basically we increase, basically, for example, you fix some bugs, you release a new version, and I'm going to show you how we can actually do that automatically. So first of all, clone the repo. If you have already done so, that's great. If not, especially if you make changes, make sure you pull the changes, otherwise you're going to mess up your stuff. So I'm going to copy this one, and then let's do this one again. I'm going to go to my documents, or yeah, actually it's already here, so I don't need to re-clone again. So what I'm going to do is just going to open this one using Visual Studio Code. Where is it? More options. Visual Studio Code. Did I start recording? Okay, good. So the first step, usually what you want to do is to pull the changes. Okay, so you can open the terminal here, lower left corner, open this one, and then go to terminal. So make sure that you can pull the changes. So come back to here. I think there's a button here if you want to use the button. So on the left side here, and then from here, pull. So upper right, upper left corner here, there's a like button, pull. So if you make changes on GitHub, make sure you pull the changes. Okay. So I'm going to just click here, pull the changes, and then this should be up to date. Okay. So the next step, what we want to do is that, okay, we're going to add some changes, for example, and let's assume maybe this one here, go to the documentation, and then from here, change log. Okay. So change log means that you are documenting what changes you make to the package. So this is, can you think about like a release notes. When you release something, you want to tell the user like what changes did I make. So let me show you an example here on div map, right? So if you go to the website, change log here, right? So I'm going to show you like the version history that I released. So every time I release something, I'm going to show you like what new feature did I add, or what improvement did I add, or bug fix, right? So you can see all the, also you can click that one to link to your GitHub repo. So what we can do here, assume that, okay, we add something and then we want to release a new version. So let's do it here. I'm going to say change log here, and forget about this. Or maybe I can just do maybe here, like the date. So the last time what we did, this actually did all the previous one. So I can say, I would say, what was the last time? So it will be February, okay, 21st, 2023, okay. And then again, this is just markdown. So I can do, I can have a hyphen. I will say this is initial release, for example. That was the last time I did, okay, because we didn't change the change logs. And then, and this should be the, just copy these two lines, okay. I'm going to make a new release, add some changes. So this time it will be 0.02, right? So I'm going to pull, and so today is February 23rd, and this time I will say just make something up. I say, okay, created documentation website, whatever you want to write, okay. Control S, all done. Ideally it should be doing something to the source code, because we haven't covered it. So for now it's all empty, nothing in there, but I want to do this one, change log, okay. Assume this is like we are trying to we are preparing the new release, okay, but this is just something that we are making the changes, and after this one then we can create a new version, okay. Are you done with this? Done with this? Any changes, okay, it doesn't really matter. And once you have this, come back to this side here on the left, click the gig icon. So same old steps, okay? Make changes, commit changes, push to GitHub. That's it, okay? So let's see what happens. We can say prep for v0.0.2, okay? And then how do we commit the changes? Shortcut, Control Enter, and then you just click the button, sync changes. It should go to GitHub. And sometimes if the repo is not open yet, I just go down here, go to branches, and then this corner here there should be a globe icon. So this one should open the repo, okay? And take a look at here. Do you see this one? You see, I push the changes, it's rebuilding the website. So now GitHub Actions is doing something for us. So the robot is working to make sure that you're not accidentally break something. And this is not recommended. So usually is to create a branch and then do something to the branch, and then you submit a pull request before it moves into the master. For now, because we haven't really done any specific thing, it's just changing the text, so it's fine. But when your package become very popular, you don't want to push things direct to the master. If it is messed up, everyone relying on your project will be screwed. So you need to make sure you submit a pull request before actually do something to the master. Okay for now, but just to keep that in mind, it's not a good practice. You need to avoid doing this, directly make changes to the master. But assume, okay, this is done, and now what we need to do, the next step is to create a token. So I have set up all the steps in here. If you go to the resources at the course website, and then I put some steps in here. Create. Maybe I didn't publish it. Let me double check here. Yeah, I didn't publish here. So let me click this one. Okay, so now if you view the published website resources under here, you should see the GitHub Actions. So similar to what I did last time, right? I showed you all the steps. This is basically the summary of all the things you need to do if you want to GitHub to automatically release a new version and then to help you. So first, you need to create an API token on PyPI. So if you remember last time when you upload, right, you need to enter your username and enter the password. But in the programming world, we don't use the username and password directly because you might be accidentally exposing something to that. So most of the time you'll be using something called secrets or API token. But it's exactly the same thing. It's just a username and password, but it's just in a different form that can authenticate you. So now let's click this one here. Open this one, manage your token. Yeah, you need to get into your account. So I'm going to enter my password. Okay. So once you enter your password, this is going to tell you add API token. So again, API is what does API stand for? Anyone? Application Programming Interface. So basically API means you have some function, you have something. We are trying to get into this. So basically an interface to interface with PyPI. And here, the token name, then you should have some project district under here. So there are two scopes. The one is called entire account. So you can think about right now, you have a username and password. You are trying to allow somebody to make changes to a stuff. So we're essentially asking GitHub to upload the repo, the new release to PyPI so that we don't have to do that manually. And you can create a token for all your projects. So in the future, you can use the same token, or you can create just a token for a project. Let me give you an analogy. Assume that you're working at the UT facility, okay? And you are the one in charge of all the buildings at UT. You might have a master key. So if you're trying to ask somebody to help you, you just give the master key to that person. And then they can go to UT, every building, they can just get into it and do that, okay? And that's I mean, might be a security issue. But if you want somebody, for example, okay, I'm working at the BZB building, and you come to the facility, you want to get a key, I only issue the key that you can get access to the geography building. You cannot access to other projects. So depends on how you want to do that. Yes, if you only have one or two projects, it's not like high level security. You can just entire account. So the API token is basically the key to get into all the projects. If you only want a specific one, you select a specific one. So in this case, I'm going to select GOS, okay, because I only want GitHub Actions to do something to this repo, to this one, to this room. I don't want it to mess up with my other projects, okay? In case your account gets hacked, whoever gets your API key will be able to access to all your stuff on PyPI, and they can delete your stuff. So it's not safe. So I recommend whatever user repo name that you choose last time, choose this one. And then the token name, you can just choose whatever name that the name doesn't matter. It's just identifier. Okay, so I can say maybe GOS token, and then just add token. Okay, and okay, this is where the sensitive information, okay? I'm not supposed to show you here. I will revoke the token, so don't try to mess up my stuff, okay? And what you need to do here, you will see, this is basically the token. So you can think about, this is your password, right? But you don't want to share this one with anyone, okay? This is just, and also it's one time only. After you create this one, it's gone, okay? You won't be able to see it again. If you want to redo it, you can delete the existing one and then create a new one. But this is essentially the password. And take a look at here. Set username to underscore token, and then set the password to this token value. So you will see here, this is the token value. Okay. And this is what we're going to ask GitHub Actions to do. So it's so-called secrets on GitHub Actions. So if you go back to the steps, I'm going to show you here once again, right? So we already have the token, and now we need to go to our GitHub repo. We need to set this PyPI users to this one, and then also the password to the API token. And then we can start pushing the changes. So next, let's go back to the repo here, and then go to settings. So very important, follow exactly what I'm doing here. Otherwise, you won't be able to read this. So settings, and then if we come to secrets and variables. So secret and variable basically, because right now you're joining the token, but you don't want to put it into the source code. Think about here, you don't want to like have your username and password on your source code that everyone can see, like you're taking off your clothes, let people see you naked, like they can do whatever things to you. You don't want to do that. So this is where the so-called environment variable, the actions, be helpful, because it's GitHub Actions is basically do that for you. So in your source code, you can read the stuff from your secrets. Only GitHub Actions can see, can use. Other people cannot do anything. So this is more like security issue. And then if you go to Actions, take a look at here. This is where all the sensitive information are being stored here, only accessible to you and GitHub Actions. Nobody else can see that, but your source code can read it. Okay. So what we need to do, create new repository secret, right? And let me open you one more time in here, the GitHub Actions here, and then the workflow, PyPI. So take a look at, earlier I mentioned like GitHub Actions can read. What does that mean, can read? Because this is so-called an environment variable. PyPI users, PyPI password. So it's going to, whenever you see this one, the double curly brackets, is going to replace this one with your secrets. So essentially last time when we try upload and then we enter the username, so this is essentially like replace this one with the username, replace this one with the password, so that you don't have to enter manually. And this is how the robots takes actions on your behalf. So what we need to do is to set the secret name, the username, and the password. So what you need to do is to come back to here. Where is it? Yeah, action secret. So you can go back to the instruction here. So all you need to do is to copy this one, PyPI underscore users, all uppercase, and then let me move this one here, paste. So the username, this one is important, okay? You need to say it is this one, __ token. It's not your real username. So because you're using the token to access your account, you do not enter your real username. So if you see the instruction earlier from here, where is it? Here, actually we have the instruction here. Set your username to __ token. So essentially when you enter this one, PyPI is going to know that it's going to check your token. If you enter your real username, you need to enter your real password. But you don't want to do that because again, anyone has access to your username and password, they have access to your entire account. So that's not safe. API token for this one, it only has access to this repo, to this specific package. It doesn't have access to your other information. Just like the analogy I used earlier, the facility, right? You access to the master key to all the buildings in a UT, or the key just to one specific building. So set this one and then come back to here, click X secret. Okay, we are 50% there, and then next create another one. Okay, come back to here, PIPY password. Okay, come back to the actions, paste this one, remove the space. So this is the secret. Yes.
Mine said failed to add secret data to contain alphanumeric characters.
Do you copy it or do you write something? Make sure it's underscore, not hyphen. So make sure you copy this one exactly. Don't try to type, because you have any errors, you're going to not be able to do it. So make sure you just copy this one. It should work. Yes. And so the next one will be PyPI _ password. And then this is where this one you need to copy. Okay, you can just click the button, copy token. Okay, and then come back to here, paste this one, and this is essentially you're setting up the username and password, allowing GitHub Actions to do things on your behalf, uploading things to PyPI. So if I click execute, all done. We're ready to go. So what we need to do next is just to create a new version, push to GitHub, release a new version. And then GitHub takes things for you, just to push things to PyPI. Are we okay with this step? So for your other packages, you need to just repeat the same stuff. So this is not just about PyPI, you can do all kind of stuff. So think about here, maybe you are building an app, a robot, right? You're trying to create a Twitter robot, and then ask Twitter to push something on your behalf. You can do the same thing. I can set up Twitter also has API token or something like that. You set it up in here, it's going to run things on your behalf. Once you have this one, we can move on to the next step. So next we're going to install the packages in here so that we can bump the new version. So we don't have to manually change the number. You will just increase depends on the instruction. So just copy this one. And then you can open your terminal, whatever, or conda prompt. So we're going to install the packages into the environment, and then so later we can just run the command to increase the new version. So I'm just going to conda activate GOS, whatever conda environment name, and then just right click, paste, hit enter. So the bump version and the wheel. So the bump version basically is just to increase the version. The wheel is the view. You don't actually need the wheel, but just install it, and then we can start releasing the new version. Okay, it's actually already installed. That's good. Bump to version. Okay, all done. Now come back to here. We are ready to release the new version. So if you take a look at this one here, where actually the new version come from, right? In your package, you have all the source file. The version is indicated somewhere. So if you want to see, you can click the source button, and then from here just search 0.0.1, right? See here, actually there are multiple places. Okay, so in the setup.cfg, there's an indication. Okay, this is 0.01, and there's another setup.py, changelog, and also the init. So essentially there are 3 places within your source code indicating the version. Okay, so if you're trying to upgrade to 0.02, if you do it, you can do it manually. You're welcome to. It's you need to change multiple locations. So sometimes if you forget, you might have some typo or something. it's going to cause issue. So the best way to do this is just like we did earlier. We make some changes. We are ready to release a new version. Now just come to here. I just open my terminal, and so here you need to activate the environment conda GOS. For some of you, you might run into an error. That's fine. If it runs into error, then you can use the terminal in here. But I can help you fix that. So maybe let me do it in here. It'll be easier. So I'm gonna open a terminal under my repo here, so that everyone will be working properly. Okay. So again, I'm gonna conda activate GOS. So next, let's start bumping the version. So bumping the version means we're gonna change from 0.01 to 0.02. Okay. So see the magic how we can do that. So all we need to do is just type bump version. Okay. BUMPVERSION space, and then type page. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, the version number contains 3 digits. Okay, major, minor, and a page. So page means it's just some minor bug fixes. Minor means you include a minor version. So if you see 0.01, right? So if you run this command and then hit enter, see what happens. Nothing happens, but behind the scene it's already done. So now if I come back to here, if you see this one, right, now it's 0.02. So it already changed all the files, all the 3 files necessary. So if you see here, if it shows like 0.2, take a look, it's all done. We already bump the new version. Okay, but it's right now on your local computer, so we need to push to GitHub. So take a look how I'm going to push to GitHub. You can also do that directly from Visual Studio Code. Yes,
I've got a message that says that wants to rename like index.log file to just index. Can I just say yes to that?
yeah, you can try yes. I'm not anyone having the same error message? Can anyone get to this part? No one? Anyway, we only have 10 minutes, so we need to continue. I'm just going to show you, but you can redo it. It's, like I said, I can show you one more time in 30 seconds. Okay, it's just you can do it over and over again. So I'm going to push the changes to GitHub. So sync changes, and then it's only take a couple seconds. Hopefully it'll be done. I think it's done. Now let's come back to my repo and take a look. Good. You see here, right? Bump version from 0.01 to 0.02. If you click the commit, you see here, this is the one earlier I did. This is the new commit. So bump version, if you click inside, it's going to show you what changes they got made, right? I changed this one from 0.01 to 0.20202, right? The 3 files, exactly what I showed you earlier. So the bump version package is pretty useful. That allows you to create a new version without having to manually. So if you want, for example, I have to add some new stuff, I want to change to 0.1, you just bump version minor. If you want to change like 1.0, it will be bump version major, and that's it. So those are the 3 commands. And the next thing, what we need to do is that to ask GitHub Actions to send this one to PyPI, right? So earlier we already set out all the procedures. Now it's not there yet. So if you click, for example, the PyPI, it's still the 0.01 version. It's not pushed yet. So the next step, what we need to do is to create a new release. So this is where all the steps that we have done earlier now can really play a role. So what does that mean? Here on the right here, you will see the releases. Okay, so for now it's empty. If you click this one, nothing there yet. But what we want to do earlier, when you like get the text, so basically all the text, it's not there yet. So we are missing one step. So what I can do here, come back to this one. You need to git push and then dash text, because when we release we create a new bump, the new version, it also creates a tag. A tag means like indicating, okay, you can think about taking a snapshot and then giving a name. That's it. Okay, and then later we can create a new version based on this new tag. So I'm going to push this one, and it's going to take a couple seconds. You see, new tag 0.02. Now I come back to here, refresh. You also have a new tag in here. So this is basically a new tag. You can create as many tags as you want. And most of the time you are creating a new version based on a tag, but it's not necessary. You can just take a snapshot. You don't have to create a new release. The reason we want to do that is we want to push the new changes to GitHub. Because earlier, the PyPI, the GitHub Actions, it only trigger when you make a new release. Of course, you can trigger when you make a new tag if you want. So now, if you see this one, upper right corner here, create new release. Okay, so this is where we want to create a new release officially. So create this one. And then, so usually the name, you can just type the same as your tag. So I'm going to view 0.0.2. Okay. And then from here, this is where you describe some of the things you did to this new version. And new features, improvement, bug fixes, whatever you like. And it is just a markdown, so there's nothing fancy. So I can just come back to here, to my repo. And so the change log, this is what I did earlier, right? So all I need is just maybe copy this line and then push in here. That's it. You can add more stuff if you want, but for now, I'm just keep it simple. And then publish release. So take a look at here, right? Now this is where the magic takes place. Publish. So now if you come back to here, on the right corner here, you're going to see releases 0.02. And take a look at this one. And this is where it's going to trigger whenever you have a new release. So if you go to actions and then the PyPI, you see it's running, right? PyPI. So the action is taking place. And if you click in, look at this. It's building, and then done. And we see the actions, set up a build and publish. We're building the packages. Essentially, is just like what we did last time. We built a Python setup.py and then sdist, build it locally, and then we use Twine to upload. It's doing that for you in here. Now, if I come back to the home page, look at this one here. Right now it's still 0.01. It will update later, but if you click the link, take a look. Now we have 0.02 on PyPI, and you see the release history, right? So we no longer need to upload manually. GitHub Actions take care of everything for us. All you need to just figure out to write those instructions so that the robots do things for you on your behalf. As long as you give the right permission, you will be able to do that. Okay. So now I can come back to here, to this one. So here I can just pip list, right? Just to show the package version that I installed under this conda environment. So if I say pip list, and if you go to like GOS, haha, I'm not sure if I installed it before or not. Here, it's still 0.01, right? So now what you need to do, you already published a new version. Now I can install new version. So what I can do here is just pip install dash u GOS, hit enter. It might take sometimes take couple minutes. You see, downloading GOS 0.02, install, uninstall 0.01, install 0.02, good. And this is how, the kind of a life cycle, how you make changes, how you add new features, and how you create a new release, create a new tag, like bump the version, create a new release, and then automatically push the new release to PyPI. That's it. So this is the entire procedure. This is exactly the same thing that I do all the time for div map. So if you go to here, right, you take a look at this one, the repo, right, on the right here, you see I created a new release a couple days ago, last week. So if you click into the releases, right, you see essentially it's the same idea, the same thing. And once I create a new release, it's published to PyPI. You can also see the tag, right? You can notice the pattern, right? 0.14.0, and then I maybe fix some small stuff. 14.1, 14.2, and then okay, I feel okay, it's ready. I add some additional new features. I want to release 15.0 and then 16.0. So it's all up to you. There's no really like strict guideline that you have to follow. You can directly jump from 0.01 to 1.0. It's fine as well. So, but if you want the best practice, is like bug fixes, smaller one, uses patch, bump version patch, and then if you add some stuff, it's going to bump version minor. If you make some breaking changes, that means it's like major overhaul of your package or stuff. It's not compatible with the older version, then you might want to create a major version. So bump version major, and then it's going to do that. So again, just to recap what we did in here. So all the steps are in here. So if you want, right? So take a look at this. But the first time you need to use try upload manually, and once you have that, you create an API token just for your project, first for that package. And once you have that, you set up the API token on GitHub Actions, right? And the username, your password. And after that, this one you only need to install once. So if you already installed, you can skip this one. And then what you need to do, make changes to the package, add new stuff, and then just use the bump version, page, minor, major, and then just use GitHub push text, GitHub push, and then create a new release. Done. Everything else is taken care of by GitHub Actions. So now you don't need to use manually upload anymore. You don't have to enter username, password. It's all there. So this is so-called a workflow, GitHub Actions that do things for you. And this is pretty much essentially all the open source projects are doing the same stuff. So now you know all the steps. You are welcome to go online to see if there are any like other shortcuts. But this is so far what I'm using like all the time, daily, weekly, how I build packages, how I deploy, how I test it, how I make it available to other people by releasing the new version, and then make it available on PyPI and GitHub. Later the semester, I'm going to show you how you can publish on Conda first, but that one is a bit more complicated. We're not there yet. So for now, this should give you enough to get started. So now you have the ability to create package, publish a package, install package, and then you also like know the tools, the critical tools on GitHub Actions allow you to do stuff. Okay, so it's going to be fun. Again, I'm going to remove the token, so don't try to mess up with my stuff. Okay, so I'm going to remove token. Once if you accidentally expose the token, make sure you remove that so they disable. No one will be able to use that. So I'm going to enter my password, and I'm going to remove my API token. So once I remove, GitHub Actions won't be able to do anything. It won't be able to upload anymore. Okay, so anyway, so that's all for this for today, and practice